Okay, I've started recording. So saya akan mulakan dan saya mulakan dengan ucapan Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan terima kasih kepada ahli-ahli Starians, STAROBA yang meluangkan masa petang ini untuk bersama kita dan juga yang ada kesempatan untuk bersama kita petang ini. Sebab siapa yang tak join tu sebenarnya dia rugi tu. Dan saya juga bagi pihak AJK STAROBA sesi 18-20 mengucapkan selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri kepada semua ahli-ahli Starians yang ada bersama kita ataupun yang ada di luar sana. Ini dah masuk Hari Raya ketiga dan saya rasa kita telah pun selalu sangat mendengar lah apa yang maksudnya the new normal, norma baru dalam merayakan Aidilfitri ini. Ramai orang pun berpeluang untuk menjadi telah menggunakan masa walaupun nampak mungkin kekangan dari segi physical activity tapi saya rasa ramai juga menggunakan masa itu untuk manfaatkan diri. Ada yang menjadi imam penuh tarawih, yang juga membiasakan diri untuk membaca khutbah di rumah juga. Dan inilah yang saya masukkan, mungkin insyaAllah kita boleh lihat cara-cara bagaimana kita boleh menyesuaikan diri dengan norma baru. Tapi lebih daripada itu, untuk lihat apa yang kita boleh manfaat dari itulah. Okay. So this series ni kita panggil When the Stars Talk. Ini kita inilah ikut ungkapan kita punya cheer when the stars go marching in. Tapi ini adalah antara cara untuk saya rasa kita teruskanlah kita punya social engagement amongst members. Our activities for the rest of the year and who knows for some time further will definitely be affected lah. In fact, has been affected. Kita punya Old Boy Weekend that was scheduled for August dah memang terpaksa tertunda pada satu tarikh yang kita belum lagi dapat tentukan. Dan aktiviti-aktiviti lain yang kita memang biasa lakukan setiap tahun juga ada yang dah dibatalkan. Satunya umpama seperti inilah kita punya iftar dan solat tarawih bersama, itu kita tak dapat lakukan waktu bulan puasa yang lepas. Dan majlis hari raya pun kita pun kena lihatlah berhati-hati bagaimana kan kita sama kita boleh lakukan atau tidak. Tapi bagaimanapun memanglah kita affected. But nonetheless, walaupun kita affected, saya rasa kita harus ambil iktibar dan kita face the challenges lah dengan program seperti ini insyaAllah. Dan petang ini kita bernasib baik bersama kita adalah Datuk Nasir Ahmad. Daripada Datuk Nasir ni, dia proud member of the batch yang digelarkan diri mereka sebagai jaringan 11. This means that they are probably the 11th group of fifth formers that have walked the proud corridors of STAR. And like many of us, so they have also walked the corridors of STAR. And jaringan 11 ni memang banyaklah dia punya aktiviti-aktiviti yang kita tahu mereka telah jalankan. Dan Datuk Nasir is of course a very active member of that group lah. Datuk Nasir black house, and I think he's wearing his house colours. Dan Datuk Nasir is of course his professional career spans diverse industries. I think in the promotional itu kita ada includekan sekali his what he has been involved in. Tapi yang of course kita nak highlight di sini, Datuk Nasir was also the president of STAROBA. There was session 2010-2012 Datuk?
That's right, correct.
Okay, so I am in that series of saya ni cuma mengambil tunggak saja selepas itu dan juga Datuk Nasir his diverse industries goes from TNB and then to Media Prima, and now you are the chairman of CIMB group Datuk?
That's right.
So I'm sure there's lots of experiences that you will draw on that we can benefit from. So today's talk, Datuk, without ado, I understand that you are talking about leadership issues. I think you mentioned to me was leading with integrity, and I think more so now, people are looking at leaders and leadership punya qualities coming up from people who we look at, and especially during this time. So dengan itu Datuk, saya tak mau without further ado dan melengahkan masa, saya jemput Datuk. Before that, I just want to share a bit of housekeeping lah. Okay, the format ni kita, there'll be about 30 minutes sort of talk from Datuk, and then after that we will have about 10-15 minutes of Q&A. And I appreciate everyone is adhering to the muted mic punya decorum, so that's thank you very much. Dan nanti masa Q&A seperti yang kita lakukan sekarang ni, kita akan adakan dalam 3 bahasa lah. Kenapa 3 bahasa tu?
3.
Bahasa pertama saya kata kalau dalam bahasa Malaysia boleh, dalam bahasa English pun boleh, tapi saya rasa yang paling penting adalah budi bahasa
Okay.
So dengan itu Datuk, and as I mentioned just now, ini pun this is recorded, and we will insyaAllah share this on platforms yang STAROBA adalah seperti Facebook dan lain-lain. Okay. Dengan itu Datuk, the floor is yours.
Thank you, terima kasih Faizal. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and selamat Hari Raya, good evening, good afternoon still. So first of all, syabas lah to STAROBA, to Faizal for coming up with this initiative, which is good. And of course, like as he said, this was discussed. I was one of those he sort of contacted to discuss. Biasalah bila kita setuju, kita pun kena jadi penceramah je lah. So, but okay, it's something I don't mind doing, and I hope it will be beneficial to all those who are listening, and those who will be listening later on when they put on the platforms. So today, like mentioned by Faizal, I would like to talk about my title. I'm calling it Leading with Integrity, because I think in all the years of my exposure, I noticed leaders are important. At the end of the day, any organization will only be as good as the leadership. But before that, because of the current COVID issue and all that, I thought maybe I'll just spend just a few minutes, give my own personal views of what's happening and what I think is going to happen to all of us. As we know, most countries, including Malaysia, has always has been introducing a certain level of lockdown. In our case, maybe not total lockdown, but we came up with our MCO, which is seems to be quite effective, which is quite restrictive in that sense, very restrictive to people in terms of not moving around and so on. So because of the MCO, and the problem is MCO is going to continue to restrict us from doing a lot of things, and it won't go really go off until the authorities, the health authorities, find the solution on how to stop this COVID-19. So I think the impact of all this is, I think everybody knows, the economic impact is really there. But the problem is, unlike a lot of catastrophes or disasters before, even like World War and all that, how the world recover is quite easy to know where everybody was at that point. So or calamities or even tsunamis, and but this one is totally different because it happens to everybody almost at the same time. Other disasters, you can have tsunami in Indonesia, but some other countries don't have this problem. You can have war in Syria, but we don't have the war. So because of this, I think the economic consequences is always difficult to really estimate. To me, it remains a guesswork. That's why people come up with all kinds of views on how the economy is going to look like. So my view is that the challenge to everybody, to every authorities at the moment, is how do you balance the efforts of saving lives and also saving livelihood. So I'm just quoting some of the views given by my own CIMB economic research department. So the outlook as far as latest up to May ni, CIMB view is Malaysia punya GDP for this year is going to be like -3%. -3%, which means in fact the expectation is this third quarter is going to be really bad because second quarter is almost finishing. So it's only towards the end of the year only, I think, we will start showing some picking up. So the next question to me is, will the economy pick up if the MCO is lifted? Or even now, with the easing of the MCO, is it going to really help the economy? How much is going to help? My view is, at the end of the day, it's all about supply and demand issues. And because it is so global, to me, the problem is we are not in isolation. We are not alone. This is not mutually exclusive. This is mutually dependent punya problem. What happens to us, even if we recover, let's say next month we can announce that we don't have any more COVID issues and all that, doesn't mean that we can be normal, because in our economic activities, kita depend on demand side, we depend on outsiders to buy our things. Even supply side, there are things we depend on outsiders, outside Malaysia, I mean, for us to bring in. So import export issues and all that. So even if we are okay, if our trading partners are not okay, so how are we going to really recover? So these are the issues I think we need to understand. That it's not going to be easy just because we are all looking forward to MCO being lifted and all that. But the economic activity is still going to be slow. In fact, based on the report I read, my own CIMB economic report, economists say there are two factors also that will determine how people behave. Number satu, the trust that the population has on the government. So apparently, Malaysian, based on a few surveys in the recent years, Malaysian generally seems to have quite high trust in the government. I mean, we think the government can do their job. The other factor apparently is the trust among people. Then the trust between you and me as citizens. Do we trust our fellow citizens and all that? So apparently the studies show that, but although it's not so recent, but studies show that Malaysia is one of those countries yang our level of trust to each other is very low actually. So compared to say Indonesia has got a better trust level between the population. So the assumption now is, for a country like us where the trust to the government is quite high, but the trust among population is low, the chances are we as a group will be quite compliant to follow government orders. That's why kita punya MCO ni, we keep hearing 95% of the population are complying and all that. But at the same time, because of our distrust level among each other, so we are not likely to be so freely open to embrace each other again once this thing is over. So which means consumption is not going to really pick up, because people are still wary of going to do shopping, nak keluar tu masih lagi berhati-hati. So I think this is what is going to happen in the Malaysian context at least. So what will happen is that economic pickup ni is going to be very slow the way I see it. So jadi itulah how do we handle all this? So many people talking about the new normal and so on and so forth. So bottom line is we also need to prepare, not only just mentally, but even resource-wise. How do we manage the times that is going to roll out in the next few months or even the next couple of years? So many challenges, but never mind. These are things yang we can have another forum. So I just want to introduce the subject so that in the context of what we are today. So like today, this session itself, having this online like this, is already a consequence of all the problems that everybody is having. Okay, so but I want to go back to my original plan, which is talking about integrity, especially in leadership. But before that, although I've been introduced, my background is mistaken, but I just want to recap some of the things that I've been doing. So for those who know me, probably know what I've been doing, but for the rest who are new to me, I'm already 66 years old, so this year quite senior. So I spent 32 years working full time, and then for the last 9 years since I retired 9 years ago, I've been busy. My tagline in my WhatsApp is busy in retirement. So I'm busy doing all kinds of things that have been asked of me. So I enjoy doing it. I sit on many boards. In the last, so total out of 32 years of working, though, I spent 17 years of my position, career as CEO in different companies. And then the last 9 years, like I said, sitting in the board of companies. Then there are companies where I become they made me chairman and all that, like what I am now. So all in all, in the last 9 years, I have been sitting on the boards of 12 public companies, 4 listed, 8 non-listed, and then also 8 private companies and 6 non-companies, like ACCA, MIA, of course, STAROBA. STAROBA is also one of the position I have. So I've been lucky. I've been lucky. I've been chairman or president of at least 4 organizations. I was president of STAROBA, of course. I was president of ACCA Malaysia. I was president of the Association of Development Finance Institution when I was CEO of CIMB. And STAROBA, ACCA. What's the other one? MIA, sorry, Malaysian Institute of Accounting. So I was also president of MIA. So all these positions, why I'm telling you all this, because these positions demand certain mindset to manage this organization. So this is what I want to share. So having held, either non-companies punya leadership or even companies punya leadership, and now as chairman of CIMB and all that, I noticed that you have to have a certain guiding principles in yourself on how you want to lead. So over the years, I think I have been consistently keeping to this principle, because I think these are the right principles. Some people, scholars of leadership may not totally agree, but I believe what I've been doing is I won't say totally correct, but I think it's correct enough for me to survive, to do my job properly. So what I want to share is, so that people, all of you who are listening, if you are given a leadership position, so to me, these are things you must consider, like when you don't want to follow 100%, but these things will help you be good leaders, like I think. So the guiding principle, I have always believed, and this is something I don't think I will change. My guiding principle now is only one word: integrity. You have to have integrity, but of course, you got to start defining what integrity is all about. So the practice of being honest, and showing a consistent, uncompromising adherence to strong values and ethical principles. This is what integrity is all about. So how do you ensure that you don't compromise your integrity? So it's always a challenge, because you are exposed to exposed to temptation, exposed to dealings and wheelings and all that. So to me, how do I maintain my integrity? So I keep reminding myself there are at least three main elements that I must consistently have. Number one, I keep telling myself that in order to maintain my integrity level, I must always be sincere in what I do. So sincerity is very important. Orang Melayu kata apa? Kita punya keikhlasan. Kalau you buat kerja ikhlas, dia jadi senang sikit. So bila buat tak ikhlas, there's always some motive why you do certain things and all that. So sincerity, which is about being the quality of being open and truthful and all that. So this is very important to me. If you fumble this, your overall the total equation of what integrity is all about is going to be affected. Secondly, I think honesty. We have to be honest in what we do. This is what we see, when you are not honest. Sometimes you want to be honest, but because you are not strong enough, people above you tell you to do wrong things, and then you fumble. So when you talk about honesty, that means you talk about not cheating. You talk about you don't defraud anybody. You tak ambil kesempatan, guna kuasa lah, apa semua tu lah. But thirdly, to me to make sure I keep my integrity intact, is the third quality which I think I value very much is this part, being humble. Humility, I think, is very important. You cannot be arrogant. There's no reason to be arrogant. So just be modest, be normal, in the sense that just because some people forget they hold high positions, they get overly excited, they start and I've seen people who were different before they became leaders and after they became leaders. So to me, there's no really need for all this to happen. So my advice would be, if you want to move forward and be good leaders, make sure you have good integrity, and in order to keep your integrity intact, make sure you don't forget about being sincere, being honest, and being humble. These three things are going to carry you quite far. Okay, so that's my guiding principle. But now I'm going to summarize. Becomes very good leadership practices that you should do. So number one, I think if you are leading a group, whether a company, organization, or whatever, you must put strong emphasis on integrity, like mentioned today, on ethics, and also on trust. Because you're going to lead. If you don't sort of espouse this kind of values to your followers, because followers tend to do what the leaders tell them to do, generally. So that's why you can see sometime now people going to court jadi witness sampai baru mengaku lah pasal berbuat juga pasal bos suruh. So these are things that shouldn't have happened. So and then if you are a leader, I have always also maintained that this is one of the first few things you must do. You must prove that you are not biased, you are unbiased, you are firm, but you're also fair. People look up to this, The moment people start so this trust is going to come in if you don't show that. You see, you can claim that you are fair, you can claim that you are unbiased, but I think the important is to prove. You must be seen to be unbiased, you must be seen to be fair, you must be seen to be firm. And I'm very particular about this, because that's why I am very, when I was like CEO and all that, I make sure nobody among the heads of department, for example, nobody feels they are closer to me than the other. So how do you do that? I just give you one or two small example. I was so particular. You see, when I was CEO, I never go have coffee, lunch, with just one of the heads of department, because I don't want the others to see, oh, so and so keluar dengan CEO, so that means, and then especially if you do it more than once, people will assume you have a special relationship. So I am very particular about that. That's why I say if I need to go out with HOD, I say there must be a few HODs who come along with me, so that people cannot say, I favor somebody else. And then as leaders, I think leaders are the ones who are supposed to, create good, positive culture, and also encourage teamwork. So these are the functions of the leadership. If you are a leader and this is something you're not able to do, you cannot be a good leader. You're going to fail. Next, I think in my list of practices that I believe help me to manage properly, you must also instill strong discipline, commitment, and also sense of belonging. So that means if you lead an organization, you must make them feel that you are really caring for them, and then so that they in return will care for you, and not so much you will care for the organization. Just an example of you all know CIMB. We lost our CEO who became finance minister recently. So it so happened, the timing was, and the week after that, MCO was announced. So we have somebody sort of acting in charge. But I step up my own role as chairman, although I always remind myself I'm not non-executive chairman, so I don't want to be, running the company. But I just step up my role as non-executive chairman, just to give the right feeling, the right comfort to the staff. So what I did was every week I made sure we organized with the communication department. I will issue an email message to all staff throughout the CIMB group, thanking them for what they're doing, sort of giving them comfort that the board is going to look after them. Everything is going to be in order. Don't worry too much. Just do your work properly. Follow the rules and all that. So this kind of engagement is important, so that people feel, oh, okay, the bosses are still, worried about us, still looking after our interests and all that. And we did this Friday, 2 days before Raya, the final before Raya punya. Also, we issued an email with a video clip, with just to show the staff that yes, we are having problem, but at the same time, yes, at the highest level, the board, the chairman, everybody is also worried about you. We also want to make sure you're okay. So this kind of sense of belonging needs to be developed. The other thing is to create a common, a good sense of belonging. So the mission, vision of the organization also has got to be, you know, clearly spelled out to everybody, because you cannot have the leadership talking about going north and the next level middle management thinking that, oh, the leadership is going south actually. So tak boleh lah. So that's why sometimes companies, I think practically all companies will have their vision statement, mission statement, but sometimes you talk to the lower level people, middle level, but they don't really know where the company is going. They just go and makan gaji. So, which is fair. At that level, they say it's not our problem. But to me, it's the leadership issue to make sure people at every level understand where we're heading. That's why when I was in POMB group, when I do my town hall, I make sure that drivers also attend, the office boy also attend, so that, and I try to explain in simple terms so that they know why we do certain things. Of course, like, you can't tell everything, certain things that you cannot tell everybody. But where it is for public knowledge, you make them understand, you make them feel that they're part of this. So that is important, common understanding of the vision of organization. The other part, I think leaders, and sometimes there are many good leaders, but sometimes they are not good at understanding the, you know, the risk of some of the decisions that they make. So understanding risk, understanding financial implications, because there are some leaders who will just make a decision which is good for the organization without realizing that it's going to make the company, you know, really in trouble financially, really in trouble in terms of some other risk exposures, because they didn't consider the risk part. So I have always, even as board member everywhere I go, I always remind management that risk management is very important, because it's only through good risk management you will realize that certain things has to be done in a certain way to minimize any negative impact. Then, but finally, the other thing I value very much is I believe in meritocracy. I don't tolerate mediocrity. So, tak boleh lah, just because you think you are so and so, or you expect certain favor, I don't believe in that. You only qualify if you have the merit. So this is something I think something serious to me, because this is where this is where the country is going wrong sometimes, because people don't really treat meritocracy seriously. You just want to help your friend. I will help my friend, but I want to make sure my friend has got the minimum standard lah. If not ready, I tell them, don't come. I tell you, go and do this, come back when you are ready. But just because you are my friend, just because you're somebody I know, doesn't mean that you just jump the queue and all that. So to me, these are the consistencies that this is what leads to the integrity that we talk about. So you cannot have different rules for different people. Maybe it's easier said than done, but I've been doing it for 42 years, 41 years now. So it can be done, inshallah. So on top of all this, I think there are a few attributes I think I want to mention here to help you into your, in order to do the certain practices that I mentioned just now about teamwork and so on, culture and so on. But the leader himself, to me, must have a few attributes that will only, without this, it will not help him to do a good job. Number one, I think all leaders must have courage. You cannot be a good leader if you don't have courage. Courage means you have the bravery to do things, even if most people are not prepared to do. So in making certain decisions and all that, if you don't have the courage, how are you going to move ahead? So courage is very, very important. That's why, because sometimes you're cornered into a situation where if you do this, a lot of people are not going to be happy, but you know that you have to do this because this is actually for the good of everybody. Like what MCO is happening. The government has to have no choice but to do the MCO because that's the good thing to do. You may not be popular, but it doesn't matter to me. You must have the courage to do it. And then another attribute that I think all good leaders must have is this ability to be analytical. Analytical means you are able to break down issues. To put it simply, you must have common sense. Common sense to understand how things work. So this ability is, this analytical ability is, to me, that's what it's all about. But being analytical alone is not, I used to give, kalau I talk about analytical to students, what I tell them is, to test whether you are analytical enough. Let's say I ask you to estimate how many barber shops are there in Kuala Lumpur. That's all. The question is just tell me how many barber shops are there, barber shop for males, for men in Kuala Lumpur. So the person with the analytical mind will start thinking how to calculate. That means you must know what is the population of Kuala Lumpur, how many percent are going to be men, how many percent of the men are going to go to barber shop. Some people don't have hair, tak happy lah kan. So how many will cut every month, how many will cut. So you got to know the average, how often people go, is it monthly, is it every 6 weeks. So all this information you got to think about. So this is where the analytical skills will come in. If you are able to think analytically, you will be able to think of what you need to do to arrive at the answer. But being analytical alone is not enough. To me, you must also be critical, because you can be, after being analytical, that means you know, oh, in order to do this, you must do this, you must do this. But the critical part must also come in. But why, if you do this, this is the implication, this is the risk involved. So you start questioning, is this really the right thing to do? So analytical mind, critical mind is very important for leaders. And then also, to me, you must, nowadays the word used is, I used to use the word being adaptive. You must be adaptable to environment, situation. So, but now the word they use is agility. So the ability to think and do things quickly to adjust to what is. So especially now with COVID-19 and all that, this is where our ability to be agile in handling issues is very critical. How do we, keep up to certain situation in order to come out better than what could have gone wrong. But next to being agile, but you cannot be agile if you don't have the acumen. A lot of people talk about, you must have business acumen, you must have all kinds of, so, but I don't know whether people really understand what acumen is all about. So acumen by definition is simply the ability to make judgment and quick decisions. You can make decisions, but if you take too long to make a decision, that means your acumen is not so good. You drag before you can come up with a solution. So the ability to, to make good judgment, the ability to spot problem, and the ability to come up with a solution to solve that problem in the short span, this is what acumen is all about. You may be able to solve the problem, but you take double the time. By the time you solve the problem, it's another problem already. You're too late already. So acumen is very important. Not just business acumen, technical acumen. Acumen can be anything, not just purely business. So whatever you do, you must have the right acumen. And finally, I think communication skill is also very important. You can be a good leader. You can be very good at analysis. You can be very good at you have a lot of courage and all that. But if you don't know how to explain what you want to do to your followers, then I think you're going to have a lot of misunderstanding. So that's why communication is very important. You must know what to say, how much to say, when to say. There are things you cannot tell until the right time. So sometimes people jump the gun and start telling things when it should not be told yet. So these are the things that can go wrong. So these are the basically in a very quick, hardly half an hour that I have. I just wanted to introduce what is the guiding principle of a good leader, what are the best practices of a good leader, and then what are the important attributes that leaders must have in order to really be good. So I went through a lot of things. I'm not saying I'm very good at everything, but I think it's important to this agility and being able to adapt to situation is also very important. So if you ask me, my career, I'm an accountant by training, like Johan, but he's from Australia, I'm from UK. So. But when the first time I became CEO was, I was offered to CIMB subsidiary in Malaysia Transformer Manufacturing. So during the interview, chairman asked simple question, because I was the only non-engineer candidate. Being a transformer company, so the list of candidates are all, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and all that. So here's one accountant last on the list. I don't know why they put me there. I didn't apply. I was invited to. So the question was, after all the other questions, then I say, you are an accountant by training. This is a transformer manufacturing company, which is a very technical company. Why do you think you can do the job? Wow. So I told them, I said, if you want people to make transformers, please employ engineers. But if you want to run the business, I can try. I said. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but the point is, whatever you want to do, you must understand the whole nature of what is to be done. So macam transformer company tadi, if you're thinking about making transformer, you need to get real good technical people who knows how to measure things and all that. Iron loss lah, apa loss lah, semua tu. But to me, at my level, I make sure I understand the business in general, the principles of the business. I know if the business, how the business can go wrong, how the business can go right. Those things I make sure I know. Berapa skru nak bubuh, berapa minyak nak bubuh, itu let the technical people do it lah. So you have to have people you can trust. You build up a team that you can trust. You know they will support you. But you make sure you manage the place properly so that they are happy to work there. They know that you take care of them. So this is what it's all about lah. So the question of, that's why I think Faizal mentioned initially, I've been involved in so many diverse for businesses. So a lot of people have asked me this question, macam mana you boleh? I mean, you were being an accountant now. How come you, I still sit in CIMB Berhad. CIMB is a standards punya company. I was in MIMOS Berhad. People say, MIMOS do all this technology thing, you faham ke? I try to understand what they do in general, but I'm there to help them manage the place in terms of, governance, in terms of leadership, in terms of management. So everybody has got a role to me. So but it's not a one-man job. Even if you're the CEO, it's still not a one-man job. That's why a good CEO will have to make sure that he has a good second liners who will be, who he can trust and who will be loyal to him. So these are the important things in order to lead a good team. So I think at the end of the day, you can have all the skills, you can have all the courage, you can have all the the brain power, whatever it is, but it goes back to basic. The basic is all about being a person of high integrity, which means you have to be truthful, you have to be honest, you have to be sincere in what you do. You have on top of that, I keep reminding myself and everybody else, humility is still to me. But humility means bukan humble macam mana tu. A person is humble when he doesn't know something, he tells you, actually I don't know this. Can you explain to me? That is humility already. If you are arrogant, itu yang tak reti pun pretend to know everything. This is where the problem starts. And I'm sure you probably have met people yang tak reti pun nak mengaku reti ke. Ini is the problem. So I am very open. If I don't know, I don't know. But if what I don't know is something that involves the job that I'm doing, then I take the trouble to go around and ask. And so you may have to ask somebody who is just a clerk in your office, kata ni macam mana buat ni, pasal apa kita buat macam ni. So if he'll be excited to explain. Big boss tanya, dia pun seronok nak cerita kan. So this is part of the humility that I'm talking about. Don't think that just because you hold a certain position, you know everything, because you don't know everything. But the sad part is there are many people who dare not or somehow cannot admit they don't know that much. So that's what being humble is all about. So no point being arrogant, no point being, running down people and looking down at people. And all that. So in the end, once orang tak suka, orang tak loyal, then people will not support whatever you do. Kalau buat pun orang kata macam terpaksa lah. So what we want is loyalty yang sincere also from the followers. They will do it for you so that you can reach a stage. I tell you can reach a stage where people will do anything once they really trust you as somebody they can rely on in terms of leadership. So itulah in general, I think kita dah tak banyak masa lagi. So in general, that's what I want to share today. importance of having those qualities. Because I think everybody has got a chance to be. Of course, like, not everybody is going to be CEO of companies, but you will have a certain level of leadership to take care of at every stage of the life. So masa muda-muda mungkin tak jadi CEO kan, tapi you jadi head of department ke, you jadi division head ke, section head ke apa, you still need to have this kind of qualities. So with that, I think President Faisal, thank you very much for the opportunity to share. I hope it's been beneficial, and maybe we can start talking about questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Baik, terima kasih Datuk for your, I think I would say it's a very frank account of your own experiences dalam these various, as you mentioned, it's not just the various industries, but the various organizations that you have had the opportunity to be part of and also to lead, and not least of all as the STAROBA itself lah. And I'm sure lah, kawan-kawan kita star ni, dia orang yang banyak ajar kita jadi humble ni kadang ni.
Alright.
So once again, terima kasih Datuk atas perkongsian tadi. Dan sekarang kita memang adalah a few more minutes, kita boleh buka the floor kepada these participants ini untuk post any questions. As I mentioned just now lah, kita akan handle kita punya Q&A ni dalam 3 bahasa iaitu bahasa Malaysia, bahasa Inggeris dan budi bahasa.
Okay.
Dan
I saw somebody yang angkat tangan tadi.
Kalau ada tu mungkin
Arif,
you unmute yourself, and then kalau boleh just mulakan dengan nama dan your batch. Kita itu budak star IC dia tu lah. Kita yang lain kita tahu, kita dah tahu dia batch berapa, house mana. Okay, so I leave it.
I think Arif just now, Arif. I saw, betul Arif, you raise your hand kan? You are on mute.
Arif, okay, sorry, everyone except for myself dan Datuk Nasir. Of course, there's a feature that everyone is muted lah. So that allowed for the speaker to present his notes in a very good way just now. Ada questions daripada siapa-siapa yang lain?
Salam Datuk, ni Helmi.
Salam.
Helmi. Okay, Helmi.
Blue.
84.
Blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Datuk jumpa dekat Tashengo building hari tu.
Oh ya, kat mana ingat?
Yang buat stiker Tashengo.
Oh, okay.
Filing stiker.
Okay,
Datuk ada mention tadi sebab we as a CEO we should have a second liner that we can trust, that we can work well together lah. Datuk have moved around for several companies, even now chairman of CIMB. So what advice Datuk bagi, macam do you build a new team when you move to another company, or do you bring your own team?
Good question. This is something. When I answer, you will. I don't know. Most of you will probably suddenly realize I'm not the average CEO actually. I'm lain sikit. Orang lain kadang buat kerja. You see, when I became CEO of PUNB, my chairman, when I went to report to him, because his message to me, welcome Nasir, you glad that you accept this job. So I give you a free hand if you want to bring people you know to be your CFO ke, head of this, head of that, GM ke, apa benda ke. You just go ahead lah, just let me know. So at that time I told him, Tan Sri, can you give me, because I joined 1st June, I remember. It was the 1st of June, 2001. So I said, can you give me the rest of the year, which is 7 months? By the end of the year, if I think there are people I need to replace, or can you, I will let you know lah. But in the meantime, let me do with whatever I have lah. And that means I don't even change. So I came in, all the head of department, wherever they were, I let them carry on. I have a regular every masa tu because I baru masuk, the first 2 months I had every week heads of department meeting because I want to catch up with what is going on. And everybody was doing the same thing. So by the end of the year, I realized I need only to make one switch. The person handling HR I find not that efficient, not effective. So I swapped. Itu pun I tak suruh dia berhenti pun. I just swapped him. I said, you go and do training. I got somebody else from company secretarial punya ni, who I thought was good enough. So I said, you do HR because of his background and all that. And I left 10 years later. 1st of June 2011. I was there exactly 10 years. The heads of department that I formed in January 2002 was the same HOD when I left 10 years later. So I never brought anybody in from outside. Those same people yang even the board members were warning me, you tengok lah kawan ni, maybe you need to change. I said, give me time lah. So to me, the greatest challenge for any CEO is whether you can develop people to do what you think is good. So I think I was successful in that sense because I've proven that these same people yang some of them memang run down by other people are telling me, I don't know lah, why you still keeping him? I think you need to change him. But I said, give me time. So these same people yang kononnya tak boleh buat kerja lah, yang no hope already lah. So, but they came out very well. So I believe is how the leader influence them, encourage them, give them hope, prove to them. But of course, like you reach a point where somebody cannot improve, then you have no when to stop also lah. So that happens at the lower level lah mostly. But to me, if you are already there, it's just sometimes the motivation is not there, the encouragement is not correct, or maybe they perceive you as being biased, and that's what happened when I took over PMB. The legacy was they were split into teams lah. Orang yang CEO suka, orang yang former CEO tak suka. So there were two teams and they were fighting each other, and distrust comes in and all that. So I came in. These are the same people. I pulled them back together. I said, prove to me lah. But of course like I cannot wait too long. I said. So after 6-7 months, I said, if you can still do it, I will have to remove you lah. But with that kind of message, they turn around. So to answer your question, I was CEO in 3 places. In all 3 places, I never brought in anybody new. Because I always believe that what you have should be ni lah, digunakan dulu lah. Unless proven tak boleh lah. So people sometimes react to the way the leaders lead them lah. So alhamdulillah, I mean maybe lah dengan izin Allah juga lah semua buat jadi lah kan. Tapi you must not give up too early lah on people. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Datuk. Very insightful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks Selby for that question, and also of course Datuk daripada the answer itself. And anyone else? Kita ada few minutes. Jangan risau, ini bukan Zoom free ni, ini Zoom bayar ni actually ni. So lebih dari setengah jam.
Tu nampak Azli Saleh tak mau tanya apa-apa ke?
Assalamualaikum Datuk.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay. I'm Alif Mukri from
Alif Mukri. Okay.
Yeah, this year's Form 5, batch 60.
Oh.
So my question is, when you said that you need to have a second liner team, so my question is, how do you create a loyal team and change their perception when they say you're biased or something because you just been newly elected?
Okay, thank you. So this is why I say you cannot just go and say, don't worry, I'm not biased, I'm firm and fair. I did mention that you need to be seen to be firm and fair. So you must start proving. That's why I said that I avoid going out with one-to-one because I don't want people to perceive that I'm close to so-and-so, I'm not close to so-and-so. So right from the beginning, I'm very careful with how I deal with people. I make sure memang tak ada peluang lah. So in fact, when I took over CIMB, for example, the first town hall with the staff, what I said was, I spoke for 1.5 hours. I told them, this is how I'm going to run this place. That's the first line I use. I'm going to be firm and fair and all that. Then I said, before you ask the question, I know some of you. How do you know who is doing what and all that? Because I said I will find a way to know who is functioning, who's not functioning. So I said, even if you are the head of department, my logic was very simple. If you come and present something to me, and I find it's a very good paper, for example, I said, siapa tolong you buat ni? Kalau dia kata dia seorang aja buat, so I kata, oh, you ada berapa staff? Then can we remove all the stuff? You seorang-seorang dah pandai buat? Then he has no choice but to tell me, no, actually I was helped by so and so and so and so. And I have a team, 3-4 orang yang buat kerja ni. So who are these people? So that's how I got to know who is doing what, who's doing a good job and all that. So when I ask this kind of question, These people have no choice, because my answer is very simple. The moment they claim credit themselves only, I say, hey, you terror, you seorang-seorang boleh buat kerja, tak payah. I can save money by, deploying your staff to somewhere else. So that kind of, sarcastic argument, people just lose out lah. They will say, okay, well, I know, boss. Memanglah I tak boleh buat seorang, I ada team yang boleh buat. Okay, who are the people? Who is the really, ni grammar very good ni, siapa yang tulis ni? He has no choice but to tell me. Then I will know, so and so is good. So you see, I will make sure I understand, because not everybody is the same. Some people are stronger in certain areas, some people are weaker in certain areas. So I try to identify stuff yang I tahu bagus dalam, yang ada kecenderungan ataupun skill yang certain skill yang bagus. I will make use of his skill, and he's weak in certain thing. Yang mana dia weak tu, get somebody else to do when he's somebody who's good in what he's weak. So you start doing all this. Of course, people are skeptical. People will say, yalah cakap boleh lah, betul ke? But that's why it's up to you to prove. But people will see 3 months, 6 months, betul lah, dia kata dia fair, memang dia fair to me. So it will take time, but you will have a chance to prove it, because people will see whether you see. That's why going to the ground is important. When I was running the factory, Malaysia Transformer, I make sure every Wednesday evening, once a week lah, I will walk through the factory. Walk through the factory, stop and talk to line leaders, don't talk to supervisor cakap semua okay, no problem boss, everything okay. You talk to the line leaders, you talk to the factory hand yang actually buat kerja tu. Then you asking simple question lah. You duk buat ni, you tak ada idea apa-apa ke? Kalau tengok ni Messi semacam tak boleh perbaik ke? Oh boss, kita dah recommend dah dulu dengan supervisor, dah 2 tahun dah. Nothing happen. Oh ya, betul ke? Then next production meeting kita tanya lah. I understand from staff, there was suggestion to do certain thing, but it's never been taken up. Any reason why? Masa tu bawa pulang kabut. So you have to, so you go down, you talk to people realize, hey, this fellow is seriously interested in what's doing. Cuma, my advice is, you must know where to stop also. Jangan sampai semua you nak ambil tahu, you tak terbuat kot. So you must know what is enough. Enough to help you balik, to understand what's going on, to spot where problem areas are, to spot where the strong points are, and keep on managing. So back to the question of how to prove that people can trust you. This will take time, but I tell you, within 3 months, people will know whether you mean what you say or not. And I can give so many examples. People know you are genuine, because you see, it's difficult to pretend. No? You cannot pretend to be nice and all that, be honest and all that. You think you can last forever, if you're not. If you're a hypocrite, it's going to show up. One day you're going to make mistake. I'll give you another example of how it's not planned, but because if you do things sincerely, it will reflect in what you do, and people will notice. Betul lah, dia ni memang jenis baik, betul lah. I'll give you an example in the factory dulu, and then Occupational Health and Safety Act. The new act says every factory especially must have your own committee and all that, which must be chaired by the CEO himself, which must have representative from every ni apa semua lah. So representative adalah yang line leader pun ada kena masuk dalam komiti, HR punya orang ada, quality assurance ada, production semua ada. So this is a story that was not planned, but it's also taught me there are many ways to win over people. So one of the committee members, there are 2 committee members who are line leaders level lah, which is very low lah. Dalam factory line leader ni atas sikit pada factory worker je lah. So, but they have to be in the committee because of what they do. So for the very first meeting though, the secretariat came to me, boss, kita nak buat first meeting committee OSH ni. So nak buat kat mana? Nak buat kat production punya meeting room ke, factory punya meeting room, or nak buat dekat boardroom? Boardroom is next to my room lah. Kita buat kat boardroom lah, dekat sikit. I don't have to walk to the factory. So dia remind juga, dia kata boardroom ni normally dia tak guna lah untuk staff meeting ni, also only for board and management meeting. Tak apalah, sekali-sekali nobody has to know pun, kita buat je lah. So buat lah. After the meeting, habis semua, this line leader came to me, bos saya nak cakap sekejap boleh tak? Boleh, ada. So dia kata saya nak ucap terima kasih. Saya dah kerja kat factory ni 8 tahun. Saya tak pernah tengok boardroom pun. Saya tak tahu pun boardroom ni macam ni. So I pun, what is he trying to tell me? Dia kata, so apa masalah dia? Tak ada masalah bos, saya cuma nak terima kasih sebab first time orang macam saya dapat masuk boardroom. I was thinking, wow, this is amazing. It's something I didn't plan to try to win him over ke apa. But can you imagine the impact of somebody like him feeling so grateful that dia tak sangka macam dia pun ada peluang duduk dalam boardroom, duduk atas kursi yang director duduk ni. And can you imagine the kind of story he goes out and tell the people? So the story, I jadi hero lah. I like it, kita tak plan pun, tapi bila fikir-fikir balik, betul juga. But you know why it happened? To me lah. Because I think I was just sincerely doing it without having any idea ke apa pun nak try tu bodek orang ke apa. Tak terfikir pun macam tu. So my point is, if you do something honest, the chances are it'll turn out good. Even if you didn't actually plan for it to be that way.
So anyone else dengan any other ni cabang?
Assalamualaikum. Okay, jelas Datuk, boleh dengar?
Okay, now better.
Okay, how do you deal with a toxic person or toxic environment in an organization?
Okay, I believe in direct confrontation. You cannot run away from it. When you have somebody with a problem, the best solution to me is to confront. Of course, confront doesn't mean that you go. Be tactful, be civil about it lah. So of course, different people have different. Sometimes to me lah, I've come across this. I've come across people yang really terrible. Yang the confrontation is very direct. I said, you agree two choices. You write a letter or I write a letter. You write a letter, you resign. I write a letter, you are sacked. Pernah pun macam tu pun ada. So sometimes you have to be. This is what I'm trying to say tadi tu. This is where courage comes in. Sometimes kita nak lari berlalau lah kalau boleh, malas lah nak deal dengan orang susah. But to me the first step is to confront and cakap betul-betul. I think you have a problem. Kalau orang yang jenis tak nak mengaku, maybe you use third party dulu. Kalau tak boleh juga, then you yourself handle. Kalau tak boleh juga, and you know for sure that he is wrong and you are right, then to me you should be brave enough to take the right decision lah. Tapi kalau you know he is wrong, but he is wrong because he is misled or dia tersalah faham, dia tersalah salah bimbingan ke apa, and you get a feeling this fellow ni can be corrected. So that's when masa confrontation tu you have to suggest to him lah. First make him admit that he is wrong. And then this is how to improve. Tapi kalau dia stubborn, then you point out to him lah the consequences that you may have to go. Kalau you still tak nak admit lah. So I've come across this a few times, but memang it's very challenging, it's stressful. So kita yang nak deal ni pun kadang stressful lah. Allah nak kena jenis yang tak nak mengalah dengan kita pun pening juga. But I think you have no choice lah. That's what leadership is all about lah. You kena handle. So, but don't run away from it lah. My advice is confront. If there are issues, confront. Confront in a proper, tactful way lah.
So, Datuk, your experience in PUNB, being a government company, kan?
Yeah.
Especially when you hold a lot of money. I was also in that position in my creative. So, and I must admit, people do come in and try to corrupt you lah. They want to give money under the table, corruption and what have you lah. Ya, Johan, you approve lah loan ni untuk I. Nanti I bagi certain percentage back and what have you. So Alhamdulillah, the courage that I have to refuse to decline all that. But it's sometimes very difficult thing to do. And as you say, if you're not strong, you will fall into the dark side, right? So I've had incidences where people send letters to ministers to try and get rid of me from my position and what have you. But Alhamdulillah, I managed to stay until the end of the term. So maybe, do you have such experience that you have faced in your past jobs? No names mentioned, of course, but just for us to learn from you how we how we tackle this kind of perceived, because they perceive government agencies to be corrupted and all that, so that's why they
assume lah.
They assume they say kenapa agensi lain buat sebab tu kita pun offer kat Encik Johan. They assume. Yeah.
Of course, there will be people who try to. Some people are more subtle. They try very very subtly. Some are not so smart. They're very crude. So the challenge for us to know so lah, where if it is happening, you must know it's happening. If you are not smart enough, okay lah, CIMB is one thing, but let me go back a little bit on my transformer days. That was my first experience as CEO. I was young, 40 years old, jadi CEO, kita pun bukanlah pandai. So, but that is the place where I learned, corruption can happen in many angles. No, kita pun tak apa pandai masa tu. You see, I was assuming, I was careful. Procurement side, I said, be careful, people may try to bribe you and all that. Adalah one try, but you nicely tell them. In fact, there are those I have to tell them, if you still try to do this to me, I make sure your relationship with this company is over. Then they will tell you, last time former CEO. I said, former CEO, don't tell me. I don't want to know what former CEO deal with you. But so my assumption is procurement is where people can make a lot of money lah. You beli barang dapat commission sana, commission sini, whatever. So that one I know easy to avoid. So what I did, any meeting with supplier, I made sure I'm not alone. There's always a witness. Procurement manager must be there, or somebody else must be there, so that anything they tak boleh claim kata, I asked for it, or he agreed to it, or whatever. So there's always that party to witness. But what I learned is, you sell things also, you can make money rupanya. Because I was trying to appoint an agent in Sabah, and he came and explained to me. I thought it was good enough. I said, okay lah, you write in formally, I will appoint your company to be our agent in Sabah. So next day he came sendiri personally. Secretary told me, so and so yang yesterday datang tu nak jumpa. I said, okay. I pun jumpa lah sekejap briefly, ingat just to accept the letter. Then he was telling me, so boss, you approve nanti, give me good discount lah, then I'll give back 25% to you. I kata, macam mana? Dia kata, you give me good discount, agent price, 25% tu I'll refund to you balik lah. I was thinking, apa complicated sangat ni? Kalau itu net lah. Dia dah 25% siap kan, so that my discount kalau nak bagi kata 30%, 75% of that lah, tak payahlah bagi patah balik pada. Not understanding that he's referring to the 25% coming back to me personally. Bila dia tengok I pun tak faham, dia try to explain further, then mula faham lah. Bila faham tu, I told him, excuse me lah, you better leave lah. Then I took his letter. Esok tu terus jawab, after considering, I don't need an agent anymore, tak jadi lagi. Nak bagi lah tapi tak jadi. So I think back to Johan's question. Yes, there were attempts, but as I said, you have to be alert. You have to be conscious of siapa yang. I tell you, even now as chairman mana ada non-executive power kan kat CIMB. Only last week before Raya, dengan COVID-nya MCO ni pun, the attempt is still there. This is fella, the PA call me, dia kata, Datuk ni ada orang kat HQ bagi tahu dia dah hantar hamper, wanted to, at the same time wanted to go up and see you personally. I kata, siapa dia ni give name and all that. I said, no, tell them no. I said, we have a no-give policy. Tapi dia dah tinggal dah, dia dah balik. So I said, arrange for this for the bawah tu, reception, to send back the thing to him. So my PA called his PA and that fellow said, tak payahlah simpan lah. I said, no. Dia tak apalah kalau tak nak Datuk, tak nak bagi dekat staff. I said, no, even my staff is not going to take all this. So, hantar balik. So orang macam ni, they still think, even not only government, even macam bank lah. Bank also have not so nice reputation. Sometimes orang kata branch manager makan duit lah apa. So, and it's true, it can happen. Memang it has happened. We have caught people, we have sacked people, send people to jail for all this. So I think the challenge is to be aware and to be like you say, Johan, we must have the courage to say no. Kalau orang yang jenis gangster ni, kita kata say no nicely. Kalau jenis yang lebih kurang ni, kita cakap tu terang kan. Kalau kita tahu dia jenis bawa pistol ke apa, kita pun slowly lah kan. I tahu, I come back to you and then you have to find a way to say no lah. But the important thing is to stand firm and be able to say no. So even macam kat PMB, there are people who write letters to minister, masa tu deputy prime minister lah, even masa Pak Lah jadi prime minister, to prime minister. I keep telling the staff, don't worry. I said, we will do the right job. I said, draft a nice letter to the minister explaining why we are not going to do all the reason. Then staff kata, but this is Prime Minister. No? I said, I saw you draft letter because I saw you sign letter. I'm the one signing. Why are you so worried? You draft letter, I sign. But I keep reminding staff, when we say no, especially to sensitive people, be tactful, be mindful. I tell you, when I was CIMB, I'll mention name because it's true. Tan Sri Noyako was finance minister. He personally, not less than 10 times, called me either by phone or through minutes or when I see him, for me to help some of the people who go and see him. Out of 10, I only had one. The other 9, I cannot because they, remember I told you, I go on merit. I believe in meritocracy. So, but in all cases, I will go, benda macam ni, he is the minister, you give him due respect. You tak boleh agak telefon, minister, I'm sorry lah, tak boleh bagi, tak boleh, you tak boleh buat macam tu. So make appointment, go and see him personally, and say, remember that day you passed me, oh yeah, what happened? Sorry lah, Tan Sri, cannot lah. Why cannot? No lah, kita dah study viability lah, apa semua. If you give him lesser amount, tak boleh ke? I said, Tan Sri, if I give him the amount he asked, he's not going to make it. I give less, he's definitely not going to make it also lah. Oh yeah, betul juga. Okay lah, I leave it to you lah. You see, even ministers to me, at the end of the day, I notice, my experience, they do it because of political reason lah. But if you convince them that it cannot be done, they back off. Because I tell you, my trick is simple. If I go and see minister like this, my last line of defense is, Tan Sri kalau nak bagi juga, Tan Sri minute lah. I'm prepared to say that. You mean it to me in writing, I will keep this letter as my insurance. But in all cases, they will not do it. They know where to stop also. Okay lah, tak apa lah. Kalau you kata tak boleh, tak boleh lah. So, but I take a chance lah, whether I keep my job or not. That to me, ini semua kerja Tuhan, tak apa. Rezeki juga dia nak bagi kan. So itulah. And the other thing before I forget, one thing I should tell, I told everybody when I talk about this kind of issue. My motto is very simple. If I cannot beat them, I leave them. I never join them. That is something you must be brave enough to do. I mean, I've told you, I sat in 12 different organizations since retirement, only the last 9 years. I've left 3 organizations because of principles. I don't mind telling one of the most challenging yang I was brave enough to do, I think. Memang I tak fikir banyak lah memang. I was a commissioner with the Energy Commission, which is very big, Energy Commission. We approve IPP lah, apa semua. CIMB is under our supervision. I was a commission member. So when the government in 2015 approved one IPP track 4 to a group without going through the commission, I gave a 24 hours notice and resigned. I was the only board member who resigned. So why you resign? Because I said the government is doing things I cannot agree. Orang berani berhenti. I say it's not about berani, it's about doing the right thing. Okay lah, so I'm no more commission member, so what? So you have to have that kind of mindset that you are not afraid to lose. If the trade-in is my integrity, I will tell you all this lah. I've quoted this many times. Integrity is like virginity. You can lose it once only. So orang makin naik ni, I boleh cakap topik macam ni. I get very angry when people.
On that account, I'm happy to say that I'm still a virgin.
Okay. Good to hear that. So but seriously, if you come to a point where you cannot beat the system, the best thing is to back off lah. Why you want to be part of it? I think not less than actually four different companies I sat in as a board member. When the time comes, I know this is wrong. I try to tell them this is wrong. Nobody's going to listen to me. You know you're the only one fighting. Thank you very much. Bagi sorak. So 4 out of 12 companies yang pernah duduk in the board, I've done it lah. No big deal lah. Okay.
Okay. Baik. Terima kasih Datuk. Dan masa kita pun, masa yang kita slot time ni pun dah almost there. We have 3 or 4 minutes, and I think with everyone's permission, saya rasa kita ucapkan terima kasih lah kepada Datuk Nasir kerana atas perkongsian beliau. And I think lah very frank, I said just now, very frank account of his experiences masa dia punya tenure, masa his speech just now. And I think even a more frank interaction between the members tu. And it looks like next session ni kita boleh tambah masa lagi lah. Ini masa ni mungkin under budget lah. Okay. So sekali lagi saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Datuk dan juga kepada everyone for participating. Tadi I heard ada, am I right or not? Ada yang even current fifth former yang dalam group, dalam participant group juga. I understand. I think I heard one. But I know lah ada yang last year punya form 5. So those appreciate your punya participation in STAROBA activities in that sense, right? And then so we look forward to having you all punya continued participation in STAROBA, and look at STAROBA as an avenue for you to really listen to the experiences of your STAROBA members yang have gone through things that you are now at the beginning of. So hopefully we will guide you the right way lah, and then therefore you all can also remain virgin macam Johan. So okay, dengan itu saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua dan saya akhiri dengan wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.